you're thinking about moving to coastal Alabama. Well, in today's video, we're going to be talking with our broker, Courtney Cathers, here at Exit Navigator Realty about some upcoming changes. Most of you have seen in the news the lawsuits that were brought on against NAR, which is our National Association of Realtors, some major brokerage names, and we're not going to go into listing who all was involved in the lawsuits today, but that lawsuit brought on some changes last year in how we conduct our business. Today, we are going to be talking about some new changes that has been brought by the state of Alabama. So these changes from the bill HB 230 is only for the state of Alabama. It will simplify the process that the realtors have with the buyers and make things a lot more clear in the buying process up front. So now let's talk with Courtney and get a broker's point of view on this change. So Courtney has joined me this morning, and we're going to talk about the HB 230 and what it means to you as a buyer in our state. I know we've had some changes in our real estate over the past year. It has been very confusing for several of us as realtors, as well as the buyers. So we want to make sure going forward that you fully understand what the process is when you go out to look at homes with a realtor and what we have to do by law to make sure the process is clear to you in buying your home. Now, so let's go over what HB 230 is, Courtney.
HB 230 is a proactive approach from our lawmakers in the state of Alabama in rebuttal to the procedural changes that happened last fall. What we found was that was requiring our consumers to go under a legal binding contract to hire us in order for us to unlock a door and show them a home. It really took away the opportunity for them to get to know us before hiring us. Now, we did find a workaround. We were able to sign a document for one day for one house, but it wasn't really the approach that we wanted as professionals to provide for our consumers here in Alabama.
And that's right, because we really want to get to know you. Now, there is one thing that has not changed, that has always been in law, and that's a form that we refer to as the RECAD. Now, Courtney, can you explain to us a little bit about what the RECAD is?
Yes. For years, we have been required to present what's called a real estate services disclosure, we also call it RECAD, to a consumer before any confidential information is exchanged. And that's super important because we are professionals, and at some point we do get hired to do our job in some form or fashion. So that was presented normally right when you met somebody and you explained that you are licensed, whether or not you were a realtor or just a licensed real estate professional. And that was never changed. Now, last fall, they layered on that we have that legal binding agreement that they hire us before we open a door. Normally, we didn't do that until we were officially hired and got to know each other, but that has been the biggest change there.
Okay. Now, so when we go to meet a client now, sometimes we do go out and meet them, we don't know them very well. So as we are saying, we'll have some time to get to know you before you have to sign a contractual agreement to hire us. But there is another form that this law is putting in place that allows us to explain to you what our independent broker services are and how we will be working for you and representing you in a transaction to purchase a home. And you want to go over what our office policy will be as far as our brokerage representation?
Yes, thanks to the new law in Alabama, there will still be 2 documents required for you to meet with a seller or a buyer. One is the original recad we discussed that has not changed. The second layer is going to be a company recad. The reason any procedural changes came into effect was because we needed the consumer to understand more about what they were paying for real estate services and it be a little more clear. So the second document that will be required after April 18th will be called the company recad. And in the company recad form, it will be similar to the other, but it takes another layer and lets you know this particular agent and the company in which they work with, what services they provide you, and how they get paid for those services. Instead of a legal binding contract, it's information.
Now, Courtney, will this also affect any of our commercial entities that will be buying homes and our LLCs or any charitable affiliations that we work with?
Well, when it comes to commercial type transactions, whether you're working with an LLC, a partnership, a government entity, all of those things that encompass that group, there has never been a requirement for you to have that original recad. That is still the same. However, with the procedural changes and the changes on how real estate compensations are going to be listed on a closing statement, it is very important to have that company recad in place with those consumers as well.
We, as realtors, want you to be fully informed of the process of buying, what our role is in representing you, and all of this, don't you agree, Courtney, helps clarify what we do as realtors and how we can help represent a buyer?
Absolutely. It is very nice to have this up front, and I think it is a great way for Alabama to be the trailblazer in putting this into effect so that we have another opportunity to let the consumer know how this is all going to work before we actually get to know each other and have a contractual agreement. Sometimes you can't do that in a 30-minute buyer-seller consultation. Sometimes it takes spending a little time. Now, do I think you guys could go out and show 10 homes to somebody and spend 3 days of your life on someone that you do not have officially hired you? Absolutely not. But you might need to spend part of the day, show them a few houses to get to know each other a little bit better before each of you are comfortable knowing that you are the right team for this purchase.
That is true. So in our area, we work with a lot of buyers that are moving from out of state. Sometimes you get to talk with them by Zoom, so you get to see them. Sometimes you just have email back and forth. You get to know them a little, but it's still not the same as meeting in person and getting to know what they are looking for and what they want in a property, and making sure your personalities are meshed to where you can communicate with each other. Right,
I do want to clarify something though. This new law in Alabama does supersede NAR rules and regs that came out last fall. Not to be indirectly ignoring those procedural changes and codes, but to layer on a better protection. So this will apply to all licensed real estate professionals in the state of Alabama, whether they're a realtor or not.
So we keep talking about ourselves as realtors. Maybe we need to explain to our audience the difference between a realtor and a licensed agent.
In the state of Alabama, once you finish your course and go through the other procedural steps to get a real estate license in the state of Alabama, you are able to, once your license is hung with a broker or brokerage, you are able to participate in real estate transactions and represent consumers. However, we do have a national association called NAR, National Association of Realtors, and when you're a member of that, it is a little more cost for us, but the resources that we're provided are wonderful. They do advocate for the consumer and our industry in governmental affairs, which we really appreciate. But if you take on that layer and become a member of that association, you have an entire code of ethics.
Correct.
That you follow as a professional. And we are proud to say we're both realtors.
Both realtors.
Absolutely. And that extra layer of ethics, we think, helps us provide a better service to the consumer.
Yeah, so when you hire a realtor, be ensured that they have to follow the national state laws and that rule of ethics. So when we are representing you, we are a true professional. Now, Courtney, I appreciate you joining me this morning and going over the differences and the changes that are about to happen. So let's tell everybody when they're going to happen.
April 18th. So today, if it's not April 18th, this is not in effect yet. This beautiful new piece that we're coming forth with in Alabama, thanks to Governor Ivey and the rest of the legislation, will go into effect April 18th.
2025.
2025, absolutely. And, you know, sometimes you may hear this video and you may think, I still don't quite understand. Shoot us a message, a comment under this post. Ask us questions. Pick up the phone and call us. Stop by the office. We are always happy to be a resource in real estate for our community.
And you'll find all of our contact information in the description box.